just for fans. Okay, this is great, you're thinking, but we're not an energy drink. We're not cool. We're not based in California, etc., etc. We hear you. Let's address those concerns first. Yes, we confess this book does have a strong West Coast bias. Hard not to have a bias these days when brands like Starbucks, Monster, Southwest, Wahoo's, Uber, Apple, Facebook, Google, etc. all operate from that hotbed of innovation. And while there is a bias that's reflected in how our media and technology world works, you're probably wondering if this model travels. Is brand love relevant to fast-growing markets like China, where brands are still throwing billions at traditional advertising? Is brand love relevant to companies outside the action sports industry? Too right it is. Take a look at Xiaomi from China, the smartphone brand. Take this case study on board as a sign that while the case studies in this book are US-centric, with the exception of Lego from Denmark, the lessons learned can and do work anywhere. Xiaomi is no global household name, but slowly and surely, under the radar of the mainstream media, it became the world's third largest smartphone manufacturer in 2015 by valuation, and fourth by sales. Perhaps the reason most people haven't heard of Xiaomi yet is that the Chinese brand won't be at the World Cup or paying for those expensive celebrity ambassadors that furnish your nightly TV screen. When Lei Jun launched Xiaomi in 2009 with his MIUI operating system, he didn't have any marketing budget at all. Rather than buy awareness, he set his team the task of building relationships at the front line of the developer community, its forums. When they weren't developing and bug fixing, Xiaomi engineers were interacting on the forums. In time, these activities became inseparable. Early adopters of the OS not only provided invaluable feedback, they also got involved in the development process with their own ideas and patches. Through the organic process of building brand love with fans, Xiaomi identified their top 100 power users to work alongside them in an iterative product development cycle. But it wasn't just the development side these fans were useful for. They also became influential advocates of the brand. These Me fans, as they were called, played a key role in curating content and conversations on the 1 million strong MIUI forum. Xiaomi also worked with their fans to develop offline meetups covering 31 cities in China every 2 weeks. Meetups gave engineers and Me fans an opportunity to interact, an opportunity to join the dots. It's from this beachhead of loyal fans that Xiaomi's world domination plans began. Working closely together, Xiaomi developed and eventually launched its first smartphone in 2010. The brand love model works. 42% of Me fans bought MIUI smartphones. Not just one, but an average of 3. The MIUI 3 smartphone sold out in 2 minutes. Not even Apple can get close to that kind of brand love. But Xiaomi isn't resting. They're investing bigger than ever in their offline meetups, with between 300 to 400 offline held annually around China, as well as introducing a new annual Me Fan Festival. Xiaomi goes from strength to strength. Will they become the first truly global Chinese brand to compete with the likes of Apple and Samsung? We can wait and see. It's a familiar story reflected in this book. 1. Build a beachhead of fans that love your product or idea. We're not talking about passive brand targets on steroids, but customers who actively promote your brand and want a meaningful relationship with the company. 2. Join the dots. Build a community for your fans, a platform for them to share and connect. 3. Work closely with your fans to develop the product. Develop a rapid feedback cycle that allows product developments to implement fan ideas quickly and without bureaucracy. 4. Launch product to wider market. 5. Go global. It's also the story of GoPro, Apple, Lego, Monster Energy drinks, and so many other billion-dollar global brands we write about in this book. And it works for startups in China as much as it will for brand turnarounds in Denmark. The key takeaway from the Xiaomi story is that we've arrived in what we call the connection economy, and we've left behind the Ogilvy era. Here's a brand that launched with no real mass market product, with no marketing budget in China. The fact that this company can now outsell rivals like Nokia and Microsoft with ad spends in the billions is testament to a shift in the marketing fitness landscape. Xiaomi also proves brand love starts inside the business. Like their counterpart brands covered in this book, their initial weakness became a strength. It's precisely because they lacked a marketing budget when starting out that they were forced to think creatively. By thinking creatively, Lei Jun's team had to go direct to the customer and work. It could so easily have been different. Big ad budget, call in the agency pitch, wait for the results. But today, Xiaomi's forum has 10 million registered users who supply, on average, 100,000 posts a day. When you build a base of fans this dedicated to your brand, your marketing dollars and yuan go so much further. Compare Xiaomi's social media presence to that of rival big spenders like Nokia or LG, the table of which you can see in the book. It's a theme reflected in this book that encompasses two key messages we'd like you to think about. 1. Brand love starts with your own people, your employees, and your fans. 2. Focus on your fans. The details will work themselves out. But this book isn't about Xiaomi. It's about how any company can employ the brand love model used by brands like Xiaomi or Apple or Lego to really kill it in their sector. To get there, to understand how to do it, we need to first look at how not to do it. How not to do it is also how we've been doing it for the last 50 years, and it's now past its expiry date. Understanding how not to do it could save your brand, your job, and also a lot of heartache along the way. So, let's look at the cost of doing it wrong.